The most important oil choke point on Earth has turned into a battlefield. A stretch of water barely 20 miles wide at its narrowest point, the Strait of Hormuz, has effectively been sealed off, sending shockwaves through global energy markets. Merchant ships are burning. Tankers carrying nearly 20% of the world's oil supply have frozen in place. Insurance rates are exploding. Oil traders are panicking. And the weapon causing this global chaos? Not destroyers, not submarines, not hypersonic missiles. Explosive-packed Iranian speedboats. Fast, low-profile attack craft launched under darkness from hidden coastal launch points are turning the world's most critical maritime corridor into a lethal kill zone. This is the unprecedented reality now confronting the United States inside the Strait of Hormuz during what analysts are already calling one of the most unconventional naval air campaigns in modern warfare. But now America's answer has arrived, and it comes in the form of two legendary Cold War killers no one expected to dominate a 2026 battlefield. The AH-64 Apache, a helicopter built to hunt armor and destroy moving targets with surgical precision, and the A-10 Warthog, the brutally effective flying gun platform once considered too old for modern warfare. Yet together, these two aging war machines are doing what stealth fighters, billion-dollar naval assets, and advanced carrier groups struggled to fully achieve. And they are breaking Iran's grip on the Strait of Hormuz, one fast attack boat at a time. And what happens in this narrow corridor next could trigger a massive oil super spike, a marine assault on Kharg Island, and the final decisive phase of Operation Epic Fury. So, stay with BCC News, because what we're about to break down may define the next chapter of Middle East military history. Let's start where this all began. Because the story of how Apaches and Warthogs ended up hunting explosive speedboats in the Persian Gulf is, in many ways, the story of Operation Epic Fury itself. On February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched what is already being described as the most consequential Western military operation in the Middle East since Iraq. Known by U.S. Central Command as Operation Epic Fury and by Israel as Operation Roaring Lion, the campaign opened with a devastating coordinated strike package targeting Iran's ballistic missile sites, nuclear infrastructure, IRGC command leadership, drone launch networks, and naval staging facilities. And Chi, Aid, and Naundai, all in a single night. President Donald Trump announced the strikes in an emergency overnight address, signaling that Washington had crossed a threshold Iran had long hoped America would avoid. From the beginning, the strategic logic was clear. Iran's regional leverage rested on Faisan's and four pillars. Chat ballistic missiles, nuclear escalation capability, proxy militias, and most importantly, the ability to shut down the Strait of Hormuz. The first three pillars were hit hard by what America does best, Fansi and Nansur standoff precision warfare, cruise missiles from submarines, deep penetration stealth bomber strikes, Israeli multi-axis suppression raids, radar grids collapsed, underground missile depots were breached, coastal SAM sites went dark. Within days, southern Iranian airspace was no longer functioning as a coherent defense zone. But the that fourth pillar, Hormuz, and was different. And there things and we say this was never going to be solved by simply sinking ships, because Iran's real naval strategy was never conventional fleet warfare. It was always asymmetric maritime denial, making new fast attack boats, sea mines, drone boats, one-way Shahed maritime strike systems. And together, these low-cost assets achieved what Iran's larger navy never could. They brought global commerce through Hormuz to the brink of collapse. Western-linked shipping nearly stopped. Tankers linked to regional partners continued selective transit, but major international insurers began treating the strait as an active war zone. Sin chiri be find sachir. The result was immediate. Oil prices surged. LNG futures spiked. Global markets began pricing in a prolonged Gulf disruption scenario. And that created the Pentagon's biggest operational problem. How do you reopen a narrow maritime corridor that has become a swarm battlefield? The answer came during the second phase of the campaign. America deployed the AH-64 Apache and the A-10 Warthog into the southern Hormuz battle space. And this changed everything. Let's start with the Apache. The AH-64 remains one of the deadliest rotary-wing platforms ever built because it combines Hellfire missile precision, sea-skimming agility, thermal tracking, and devastating chain gun firepower. In Chawing Chain the Einjir Enchi Sound Genchi San San Sao. Its 30mm M230 chain gun is ideal against exactly the targets Iran is deploying. Explosive speedboats, Elop Sais Koris and Frius, low-flying Shahed drones, and batching Sekum Iforino and Firekangs mobile launch skiffs, on-tel coastal missile trucks. Unlike high-speed jets, the Apache can hug the deck, fly at sea level, and enter the same low-altitude battle space where these threats live. That makes it uniquely suited for boat hunting and drone interception over open water. And now enter the Warthog. The A-10 Thunderbolt II series was built around one purpose: to destroy moving armored targets with overwhelming 30mm firepower. That same philosophy translates almost perfectly into the Hormuz environment. Its GAU-8 Avenger cannon, firing at terrifying rates, can shred explosive-packed speedboats in seconds. Its Maverick missiles and APKWS laser-guided rockets allow precision strikes on Mingstang Studendas Kid mine-laying boats and or Anshin Stings Ding or use hidden coastal depots. Omsen Freistatsing Sign, Nase Freisti missile launchers. Now, Dapper ing Stoingo in Dangstown radar remnants. A Fenstor Tomdain Sang they Cobra fast-moving surface threats. But what makes the Warthog truly deadly here is something stealth fighters cannot replicate. And Sandy, time on target. The A-10 can loiter low and slow over a contested zone, visually distinguish hostile craft from civilian traffic, and deliver precision fire with unmatched confidence. In a congested shipping lane, that matters enormously. This is exactly why these so-called aging platforms are suddenly becoming the stars of Operation Epic Fury. They are not outdated. They are perfectly matched to the battlefield problem. And now the conflict is entering an even more dangerous phase, because this is no longer just about air and sea control. This is about what comes Chafrdi Sans Istamki Chon Sabis after Hormuz reopens. The massive U.S. troop movements now entering the region strongly suggest Washington is preparing options far beyond maritime security. More than 6,000 U.S. Marines, airborne infantry, and expeditionary assault troops are now converging on the Gulf. That includes the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit, the 11th Marine Expeditionary Unit, elements of the 2nd Airborne Division. These are not symbolic deployments. These are rapid seizure and forced entry units. And the geography points directly toward Iran's oil lifeline. The island processes up to H-Jars and of Iran's crude exports. making it one of the most strategically important energy hubs in the Middle East. Its military defenses have already been heavily degraded. Radar sites hit, missile bunkers struck, so gun, so airfields neutralized. But notably, is the oil terminals were left standing. That detail matters, because preserving the infrastructure strongly suggests it may be intended as a gas for future coercive leverage point or a seizure objective. If U.S. Marines move to physically secure Kharg Island, Iran could lose the overwhelming majority of its export revenue without a single additional strike on oil facilities. That would be a strategic shock far beyond the battlefield, and it may be exactly where this war is heading. This is why the Apache and the Warthog matter so much right now. They are not just clearing boats. They are shaping the battlefield for what may come next. Amphibious island seizure. A-10 coastal raids. Mine depot destruction. Missile site suppression. Such a potential ground action tied to nuclear material security. This is battlefield shaping at the highest level. And history shows exactly how these aircraft are used before major ground phases begin. We saw it in Iraq. We saw it in Afghanistan. And now we may be seeing it again over Hormuz. The next 72 hours could determine whether this conflict ends with a negotiated reopening of the strait, or escalates into a historic U.S.-led seizure of Iran's economic heart. Stay locked in with BCC News for real-time military analysis, deep strategic breakdowns, and global market impact coverage you won't get anywhere else. Hit subscribe, turn on the bell icon, and comment below. Will the U.S. seize Kharg Island next, or force Iran to reopen Hormuz first? This story is moving fast, and BCC News will be tracking every major strike, deployment, and geopolitical shockwave as it happens.